Oh, oh, my head. Oh, greetings, faithful viewers. You want some nostalgia vomit? I know. Just roll the TV. Roll it in. Yep, yep, yep. There we go. There we go. Yeah, no lesson planned for today. Today we'll be watching Disney's The Wild, brand new movie from 2006. Just got it on videotape. Yep. Watch it and discuss. Okay. All right. All right. I love you. I love you. What you just saw was based on a true story. My 5th grade teacher would show up to class hungover and blitzed out of her mind, and she'd put on a movie or show whenever she didn't feel like teaching. It actually happened quite a lot. Meet the Robinsons, Ratatouille, Liberty Kids. We watched some bangers, and on some really bad days, she'd show us The Wild. And this weird Madagascar ripoff by Disney nobody seemed to like. So excuse me if my knowledge of, this isn't exactly where it should be. We were busy watching Hippo twerk.
Save my baby!
2006 was a turning point year for 3D animated movies. It used to be solidly Pixar and DreamWorks were the top 2 studios for that, and maybe every now and then something like Ice Age would pop up.
Ice Age 2, The Meltdown.
A big bang of random-ass 3D movies were coming out. Hoodwinked, Monster House, Barnyard, Everybody's Hero, The Ant Bully, Happy Feet, Open Season, Flushed Away, and Dougal. 3D animated movies in seemingly a single year went from this cutting-edge special event type ordeal to the standard.
That's called boy tipping!
The year prior, Madagascar was the huge mega hit for DreamWorks with funny talking zoo animals. There wasn't a single day that went by without hearing,
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it.
and just a year later you see this? Nobody was buying it. Immediately, The Wild was written off by kids and adults alike as a knockoff. Could you imagine being one of the investors for The Wild, putting your money on a movie about funny talking zoo animals, but then 2005 hits and you see a trailer for this?
I like to move it, move it. He like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to.
There's some splendor, but a whole lot of warfare in the grass in A Bug's Life, the latest computer-generated insect film of the year. Did I ever think I would ever say that sentence? And who ever thought we'd get 2 in 1 year?
It's strange how A Bug's Life and Ants came out around the same time, with one being the vibrant, colorful favorite and the other being a more, I don't know, grittier, somewhat more realistic take on ants. The Wild in Madagascar is like an inverse of that, where now DreamWorks has the upper hand over a film released by Disney. And that's another thing, The Wild isn't technically considered part of what they call the Disney canon, because it wasn't animated by Disney. Instead, it was a company called Core Animation. Disney was just the distributor. So in most lists of Disney animated releases, you'll see a gap in 2006 between Chicken Little and Meet the Robinsons, but apparently in Europe it was released under the Disney Animated Classics banner. So The Wild sits in this weird part of the Disney canon depending on where you happen to be standing in the world. But keep in mind, most people didn't know about these kind of specifics. We just saw another annual animated release by Disney and thought, I guess this is how they're following up on Chicken Little. So, to begin, you have all these zoo pals living at the zoo, with Cecil the Lion Sutherland playing Samson, a real father of the pride and the favorite attraction to the city folk who love him for his big ferocious roars. And meanwhile, his son Ryan, voiced by the same actor for Beast Boy, is embarrassed that he can't roar yet. Nor can he live up to his dad's many exaggerated tales of conquering the wild before landing in the zoo.
Maybe you're not opening your mouth wide enough. Like this.
Dad, thanks for the technical help. If you really wanted me to roar like you, you'd take me to
The Wild. But Samson is a lion who'll be lying. Truthfully, he hasn't done any of these things. He's a fraud is what he is. Living a very comfortable life in the zoo with this very Adam Sandler grown-ups type crew. You got this dim-witted snake, Nigel the koala, the only character that anyone who's seen this movie ever seems to remember, and Jim Belushi as Benny, the squirrel that desperately wants to, fuck this giraffe.
Get your paws off my girlfriend!
Benny, I am not your girlfriend!
Oh, mama, why's this movie got so much ass? They're really trying to compete with my girl Gloria. So the zoo crew play this game of turtle curling while Ryan's dumbass accidentally unleashes a stampede on his father. And oh no, Disney, it's happening again.
Please!
Nah, it's all chill. Instead of Lion King, they go for this Finding Nemo type setup where Ryan accidentally gets shipped off on a truck with Samson desperately going on a quest to find his son, but it doesn't really work. There's no real compelling character behind the setup. Like here, it was Nemo trying to rebel against his overbearing father and be bold, with Marlin's worst fears being realized as a result. It's a perfect setup and challenge for these characters where they can be pushed, and there's even the stake that both Marlin and Nemo might learn the wrong lessons from this journey. But this is not Finding Nemo. This is Finding Nemo in weird hyper-realistic Madagascar clothing, where Samson's all like, "You ruined my hockey, stupid dog, you make me look bad, piss off." It kind of comes out of nowhere and feels unnecessarily cruel. And if that's like father-son line culture, they should play more into that, I guess. Like, it's also weird that they never bring up the mom, like at all. He's a single father line. You'd think that'd come up in a movie about parenting and legacy. And we know Samson must have had Ryan pretty recently, so like, who gave birth to Ryan? Which one of you snogged? So it turns out there's a single deleted scene to this movie that actually features the mama lion urging Benny to go on the adventure, but like this is the only evidence of this character's existence. I guess she was never meant to play that much of a part considering they got this far along in production and just ended up cutting her completely just fine. Just think, somewhere in that not quite Disney vault this 3D model is collecting dust, doomed to a digital purgatory, only to be remembered by a few weirdos in a talking trash can. The more you think about this movie's existence longer than 2 seconds, the more evident it becomes that this had to be some sort of money laundering scheme. I'm sorry. It's like they just took things that were vaguely popular and just morphed it into a half-baked movie. But whatever. In a bold move, the crew ends up leaving the zoo in search of Ryan, and instead of a musical, they just throw on some prime 2006 Coldplay.
Never stops, closing walls and ticking clocks.
Hey, Jerusalem bells are ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing.
And here it seems like the movie's gonna be one of those animals lost in the big city kind of films with them oohing and gnawing at everything, but it isn't. They meet some like racist caricatures and continue on their way until they eventually take a boat to the African wilds. But you know, I feel like maybe they should have just kept the movie in the concrete jungle. It feels weird to watch them leave because I remember all the marketing was, ooh, you let the dogs out, we're in the Big Apple. Yeah.
The big female with the spikes on a melon.
They're tourists!
All right, tourists, listen up. You gotta get to Battery Park. First, you take the Broadway culvert.
Whoa, you send them down the Broadway culvert!
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
They get lost at the sewage treatment plant!
Get out of
What are
here.
you talking about?
Some of the stuff in the city, like these sewer gators, is kind of fun, but before that there's this one part where they get chased into an alley by some rabid dogs, and there's this whole conflict that shows up out of nowhere of Samson not being able to do the roar. Shrek 4 clip. Like, he just can't do it, he's got performance anxiety or something, but this feels so jarring because we see him roar in the very beginning of the movie. There's nothing about this character to make it seem like he can't do this, even in the face of danger. We do get a bit of an explanation later on, but here it doesn't seem PTSD induced like it should. In this scene, it's almost made out to be like he doesn't know how, which he clearly does. Even though he's clearly being deceptive to Ryan in the beginning, there's nothing about that opening that indicates to us that he's like incapable of being ferocious. In fact, it's very much the opposite. Or whatever, I'm putting too much thought into this laundering scheme. A scheme that, oddly enough, can be kind of funny. Like in a lot of places, it feels like the wild throws everything it can at the wall hoping for something to stick, and you know, sometimes it will. Like the mixture of these absurdly silly animals animated in this grossly realistic style is freaky enough that you can't help but just laugh every now and then. Especially because a character will just say some really out-of-pocket shit.
I'm not finished with you. I am a delicacy. My flesh has fruity wood note.
So they reach the wilds, and this is where we easily get the best part of the movie, the wildebeests.
Bring the lions here, and he better not screw this up like you screwed up my dance number.
I lost count for one verse.
Step, kick, pivot, kick, walk, walk, walk. Oh, why do we even bother rehearsing?
If you want to get anything out of this movie, just watch a compilation of their scenes. They're easily the funniest thing about the Wild, and they make everything bad feel almost worth it. You got one voiced by Patrick Warburton, who's hilarious. He comes in and he's all like, "Hey, Peter, check it out. I'm in the Wild 2006, Peter. Look at my little hooves. This is gonna help me with my tax write-offs." So we find out all the wildebeests are part of this cult inside of this volcano where they find Nigel and worship him because one of the koala zoo dolls inexplicably fell from the sky many years ago and saved their leader. Somewhere in that setup is a much better movie because this alone is hilarious. They worship a koala inside of a volcano while they hunger for lion meat to complete their ritual. That's raw as hell. So eventually they find Ryan, and Samson reveals the truth that he isn't some ferocious king of the jungle, with him being captured young to be a circus lion and being traumatized by his own father, never being able to live up to his expectations and being humiliated. It's actually a pretty good backstory for many of Samson's shortcomings, with him unknowingly repeating his own father's mistakes in a way, but again, the movie just doesn't lean into these ideas enough to really properly build it all up. But before our characters can reunite and head home, they get trapped in the pre-alpha build of Lion King 2019, with Ryan getting captured and Samson falling to his doom.
Why did I let him go off by himself? He couldn't catch a cold, much less his own lunch.
Bet I could catch you.
Please. My natural predator is fuel chicken. What? I knew you weren't really gone. I knew it.
By the end of it all, Ryan and Samson are both able to tap into their natural instincts, leaving the main villain wildebeest to burn on Mustafar. And just like every post-Toy Story 2 animated movie, they have a little dance number on the boat. The end. And we get a look at Nigel the koala one last time. Until my teacher gets hungover again. And that's The Wild 2006. I sure hope somebody made some money. It's like the blueprint for quick, low-effort animated movies. Get a few comedians and voice actors, no super big names aside from Kiefer Sutherland, source the animation to some random studio, and let's rush it out. Have there be silly dances and poop butt jokes for the commercials, and throw in a little plot about finding your roar, and there we go, call it a day. It hardly feels like a real movie. It's like 70 minutes of talking animals saying whatever random shit they can. You can see why so many celebrities started taking on these 3D animated movie roles, no matter how low budget it was, cause what, this must have been like a day or two of recording? I'm sure someone out there is hearing me say all this and is getting steaming mad, like how dare you? How dare you talk dung balls about my beloved childhood classic, The Wild 2006? To be fair, I can see this being a super smooth-brained goop guilty pleasure and let the freaky zoo animals say silly things at you for an hour.
Well, that settles it then. My mother definitely drank pool water when she was pregnant with me.
I guess if you love The Wild so much, you're probably already thinking about buying the super rare Disney Movie Club exclusive VHS that I now own for some reason, but there's other ways to pay tribute. Like the Game Boy Advance time game, because of course this also exists. If there was a kids movie released between 2001 and 06, you bet your ass it got one. And what if I told you that out of some sheer stroke of the chaotic nature of the universe randomly willing this into reality, The Wild on Game Boy Advance is actually pretty good, not bad. I'm not kidding, behind this laundering scheme of a movie is a group of developers who tried to make a decent game. You play as Samson and horny Jim Belushi Squirrel, with Samson's levels appropriately feeling more tanky and Benny's feeling more fast-paced and floaty. And the controls and platforming also feel pretty tight and responsive. Benny can forage for nuts to use as projectiles, and he can fittingly be kind of chaotic to control with how quickly you can maneuver with him. You have these parts where you have to swing around, and you might be looking at this right now thinking it seems easy, but faithful viewer, listen to me. There are parts where you have to increase his swing speed with the shoulder button to make a farther jump, and it never feels consistent. This kid's game randomly asks you to be frame perfect when swinging from bar to bar, or else Benny will die or go flying higher than a giraffe's pussy, which, I don't know, he's kinda into, so. Samson's levels are easily the main attraction. You are ferocious and powerful, and I kind of wish the whole game was this, because it's fun just barreling through these levels as a lion. But wait, what's this complete 12 challenges to unlock level 2? Yeah, get this. You have to exit the story mode, go back to the main menu, and start doing these different challenge levels in order to progress. It's not bad or anything, it's pretty simple. Collect 5 juicy raw steaks, beat a time trial, find Ryan, that's the whole point of the movie. He's right there, see? This was clearly a cheap attempt to pad out what's a really short game, but I feel like they should have just kept this like 2 separate modes that didn't affect each other because, hey, it's still pretty fun. The levels with Samson specifically rock. You really feel like the father of the pride. You're able to ram through waves of enemies. You have this roar that stun locks them, and the city levels have these rabid poodles clinging onto your mane, which you could just belt out a roar to blast them off. It's a neat gameplay mechanic. You get this cool super leap he can do. I'm not kidding, it's pretty fun. Maybe my mom also drank pool water when she was pregnant with me, but for a game for kids, it plays pretty well. Having levels blocked off is obnoxious, but there is a good licensed GBA game here that no one would ever expect because it's for a booty-ass movie. Well, that's The Wild. I will say the quality of the VHS transfer is actually rather impressive. I was pretty surprised. It looks pretty damn good for what was an unadvertised, obscure-ass release that practically nobody bought. Like, Cars is a movie people know. The Wild is a long-forgotten fever dream. Even during its time, it wasn't popular at all. So I'm guessing like 3 people bought this in 06. Anyway, compare and contrast with Madagascar. I expect your reports on my desk by next Monday. Good night!
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to